On this week's episode, we are looking at all the players out of contract and asking Charlie about what happens with all the loans that Sunderland currently have, as we, of course, are mid-international break with no Sunderland football to talk about. Charlie, how are you? Looking forward to the weekend with proper football being back?
I don't know at the minute based off where we're going, but it's better than international break, I suppose. So
yeah, absolutely. Get you to Millwall, get you to the Stadium of Light, and get Alex Neil back in the dugout, giving you all a wave. Right.
The last time we came back, to be fair, so that should be good.
Yeah, that's right. Was it Stoke? Was it or Norwich? I can't remember.
It was Stoke when they absolutely battered us, but I was in Poland, so I didn't see it.
Okay. Right. Let's get straight into this then. Thank you for joining us. Do drop a subscribe and like your video just come across the channel. Now, in terms of the players that are out of contract, we haven't got that many of Sunderland. Of all the 24 teams, Sunderland are not affected as well. You're affected the least by players being out of the contract. It's just the loans. So let's run through them. Let's start with Enzo Lefebvre, shall we? There is an obligation to buy with conditions. He's obviously injured, has been injured. What's your thoughts on him? His market value is reportedly 80 million euros.
Well, I think the obligation is, if we'll go up, we'll pay. It will be a record fee. I think it was about 16 million quid, I want to say. And I mean, if it went up, I'd be more than happy to pay that for him, because before he got injured, he was clearly a top quality player. And I highly doubt if we're not in the Premier League, we'll be seeing him again next season, even if Regis can try and persuade him. But yeah, I'd be more than happy to see him back next season, but I think that would have to be a Premier League job, sadly.
Okay. Chris Methan, we spoke about last week as having a bit of a stinker at the CBS, but running that one out, do you think, let's just assume that you haven't gone up here, let's just keep the conversation at that level. Where do you think Chris Methan, I mean, 6 million, I'm not sure is an accurate reflection of his value. What do you reckon?
Well, he's out. I think he's out of contract at Bournemouth as well in the summer, I want to say. But he's one of them that I obviously wouldn't say no if we signed him. You just have to be on the right deal, because you'll be on Premier League money now, and you don't want to chuck the wage structure out just to bring him in, especially after that Coventry performance. So yeah, I wouldn't mind him. I think there's definitely room for improvement there, and I'm at the minute definitely in the Dan Ballard over Chris Metton camp, so it might depend on if he's still at the club by the end of next summer or not.
Okay. Finally, then we've got Jayden Danns and Samed. Let's talk about Jayden Danns first. Yeah, a bit more straightforward on this.
Well, I wouldn't mind him being here next year.
Really?
So to get to see him.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I actually think that was probably part of the thinking and still going ahead with the deal. But yeah, I mean, because you cannot even consider that even happening. How could they possibly know he could have a back injury? We should see him out for it's the most Sunderland thing ever. Ridiculous. Because by all accounts, he would have been a particularly good signing, but yeah, can't really say much about him, sadly.
Okay. And then Samed, who's probably been quite divisive into polarising fans' opinions. What's your take on him?
Well, he's barely got a kick as well because of injury, irritatingly. Because he came in and everybody was really excited about him. He'd been playing in the Champions League last season, and then he was injured until January. Played 2 games, then got dropped, and then got injured in training, and we've not seen him since. So he's one that I'll be very surprised if he came back. I think it's pretty simple to say. Quite a bit of a letdown with Samed, to be honest, through no fault of his own as well.
Some rotten luck Sunderland have had, in loans, and you've had a few injuries as well, haven't you? With with key players being out. But a big summer for Sunderland. Of course, we were recording this obviously before before the summer is out. But certainly, let us know in the comments whether you disagree with anything that Charlie has said there. Should we be pushing the bout out for some of these players? Should actually we give them a bit more of a chance than they've already got? Cheers for that, Charlie. Thank you very much. Join us next week, because next week, of course, we are reviewing how the Millwall game has gone and looking ahead to the final 7 games of this season for Sunderland. 20 minutes of Sunderland chat every single week. Do drop us a like, drop us a subscribe. Thank you very much for joining.